Hey everyone, Morgan here. Let's talk about power outage preparedness. I actually have a whole free guide that you can go check out down below. And I am going to be bringing out an entire book that's going to be talking about like off-grid power outage. You're going to be able to live totally off-grid once you get this book. So be ready for that in later 2025. Pre-orders are going to be coming soon, but I have a free guide right now to get you started on your power outage preparedness down below. So go ahead and go to the description to download that today, and be sure to subscribe to my newsletter because I was giving away a whole bunch of free ebooks lately, but you can go download this one guide right now. And I got a lot of free stuff on my newsletter as well. A lot of good stuff. Go sign up. It's free, and you get a free bugging in guide. Go get it. So the first thing is creating an emergency lighting kit. So I like to have just a little emergency kit on hand that has a bunch of lighting in it. This is not all of my lighting stuff. Like I have one of these everywhere. I have one of these next to my bed. I have these are just little lanterns, in case you don't know what they are. Whoa, they are bright. Okay. But I have one of these everywhere, next to the bed, in bathrooms. I have these everywhere because it's something really easy that anybody can grab in a power outage and just turn on, right? So these are nice and easy. Make sure that, if you have batteries in them, which I clearly do, to either take the batteries out and put them next to it, or just make sure that you're changing the batteries often, okay? With these that are around the house, I do have batteries in them just so they're ready to go. So we just change them out and check them every like 6 months or something like that. Again, just more like lights, all kinds of lights, headlamps. Headlamps are amazing because, here, look, Ma, no hands. Okay, so just lots of lights, lighters. Oh, another thing is glow sticks. I love having glow sticks in here because glow sticks are great. I also have these solar lights, as you can see here, but they're outside, so I just bring them in when I need to, right? And then, solar, any type of solar glow stick. Okay, and then what I might also have in here, I have these in a lot of my bags, but I have a bunch of these battery power banks. As you can see here, I have a lot of external battery banks that can be run on solar or generator or whatever. These aren't going to be in the kit, but they're nearby. They're always easily accessible. Little things like this can definitely go in this little kit just so you can grab them. Make sure that they're always charged before you put them in here. Same with flashlights and things. I like rechargeable because I have a lot of these. I can just recharge these with these. I just prefer rechargeable stuff. That's just me. What I might have in here as well is something like this NOAA weather radio. This is just a radio in general, but it has the NOAA, it has a little solar and a hand crank and all that. Like, it's a whole thing. And I've done videos about this. This one, I really like this one. It's nice and lightweight. But this is also in my bag as well. So like if I have to go into my bug out bag to get certain things, I know that it's in there as well. So, this is just a nice little kind of kit that you can have some things in it, while other things can also be spread across the house as well. So it's not just having all of our eggs in one basket. I have a lot of the eggs in a basket while I also have other eggs spread throughout the house, kind of thing. Making lights and lighters and things like that easily accessible, to the adults in the house and things like that is actually super essential, because in a lights out situation, yes, I may know where this bin is, but I may be in the kitchen. So I'm going to want to grab something in the kitchen, right? Maybe I'll want to light a quick candle in the kitchen, something like that. Like, it's not like, okay, yes, I am going to come over here and get the additional lighting, but for right now, I want something quickly to access, wherever I am in the house. Okay. And of course, we all have our phones on us with a flashlight. I can quickly get a flashlight on my phone, to go access whatever I need to access. But a lot of people say avoid candles. I'm not one of those people. I have lots of beeswax so I can make my own candles. Just be safe. Have them in lanterns. These lanterns specifically, I love these lanterns. Get these lanterns. Put your candle in it. Be safe. UCO has a bunch of little candle lanterns you can use. Like, just be safe with candles, have some common sense with fire. You can preserve food in your fridge and freezer by having a large power battery bank like this. I'm showing you some video here in which I have powered my fridge and freezer with this battery bank. Now, I'm going to talk about in another video how to actually find your solar needs, but I have in a past video if you want to try to find it, or I'm going to do an updated video here soon. But you want to keep your fridge and freezer closed. Most people say that the fridge or freezer can last anywhere from 24 to 48 hours if they are completely full. If they're not, a really quick and easy way to fill them is to fill like old bottles of water, or old bottles or whatever, or even Ziploc bags, fill them with water and throw them in your fridge or freezer. And that can keep things a lot colder for longer, especially in your freezer, because there's just those blocks of ice will keep things colder in there for longer, right? You want to be efficient. Plus, if you ever need that bottle of water in the freezer, you can just take it out, right? And let it defrost, and now you have a bottle of water, okay? So again, your fridge and freezer, they may not be powered for 24 to 48 hours. They can last for 24 to 48 hours, but if you have a generator that can power your fridge or freezer, go ahead and plug it in, okay? Plug in your fridge or freezer into your generator or into your power bank or whatever you have that can support your fridge or freezer. And then do it on like a 2 to 4 hour basis so you can keep it powered for 2 to 4 hours and then unplug it for 2 to 4 hours, keep it powered for 2 to 4 hours, and then, go back and forth like that. So you're kind of conserving energy a little bit. So use backup power sources wisely. Like I was just saying, if you have a generator, make sure that your generator is outside. Anything that uses fuel, gas or propane, make sure it is, 20 to 50 feet away from doors and windows, plenty far away. Get a long extension cord so you can plug that into, the outdoor extension cord so you can plug into that, and then plug into your fridge or freezer on the inside of your garage or house or wherever. You can build like a little structure over the generator so that it's sheltering it from, a snow or a rain or something like that. Do not put your generator in like an actual house because it still needs to vent properly and stuff like that. If you are going to put it into like an actual little closed off kind of like a little generator house, make sure it's well ventilated. Otherwise the generators will just shut off, right? They have their own little sensors these days that will just shut them off. And then if you have these power banks, make sure they're completely charged. What you can do is you can just keep it plugged into the wall all the time and it won't damage the battery. So if you want to do that, definitely do that. Otherwise, just check them every few months and make sure that they're fully charged. Just turn them on. And if they're 100%, they're 100%, leave them alone. But if they're not, go ahead and give them a good charge. All right, so how do we stay warm or cool, okay? In winter, you're gonna wanna have plenty of clothing, okay? I've talked about winter preparedness, so I'm gonna kind of direct you to that video to go watch that for, more tips on that. But in winter, you want layered clothing, you want 0-degree bags, you want the Mr. Buddy heaters for heat, you want the propane wall heaters, okay? You want these things very readily available to you. And to conserve heat, go ahead and get everybody into one room. Then you'll have your body heat. You'll have everything in just one room. So you're not having to heat the whole house. You're just heating one room. Wherever your like wood stove might be or pellet stove or whatever you have, whatever is heating your home, you want to be kind of near that area and then block off close the doors and block off the rest of the area so that you're not having to heat the whole home. You're just heating one little small area. And then in summer, you really want to stay hydrated. Of course, in winter, you want to stay hydrated as well. Always stay hydrated, okay? But in winter or in summer, stay extra hydrated. Get electrolytes as well. That's very, very important, especially because you're going to be sweating a lot, okay? Get battery-powered fans or solar fans like this one. I love this solar fan. I love it so much. It works really, really good, especially if it's summertime. You'll be able to keep it charged. You have two. Right? You have one that you're charging and then one that you're using. So when the one that you're using goes, you get the other one, right? And battery powered ones as well. Or you can get like small fans and just plug them into, your battery banks or your generators or something like that. And then block the sunlight from coming in, get blackout curtains. That's always really good. Or just go outside and stay in the shade, or get a kiddie pool or any kind of pool. Just get some sort of something that is filled with water so you can get into it. Fill your tub with water if that's what you want to do, but it might be a little stuffy inside your house. So get outside into the shade, into the pool, and you'll cool yourself down really quick, right? So stockpile water. Of course, we want to have the basics of stockpiling food and water, okay? Now, depending on the type of food that you have, like if you have a lot of freeze dried food, you're going to want to stock up water just for that freeze dried food because they can take anywhere from 1 to 2 cups, per rehydration, depending on what you want to eat, right? And so you want to keep that in mind for drinking, hygiene, cooking, and cleaning, water usage. So I recommend 2 gallons per day. 1 gallon is for drinking, and the other gallon is for, let's say, your food, hygiene, whatever else. You can conserve water a lot of ways. You definitely want to brush your teeth, but just use like a little bit of water, brush it, and use a little bit of water to rinse, that kind of thing. You're not going to have, you may have flowing water. That's totally fine. In certain power outage situations, you may have like a pump, and that's what I'm talking about, like using water that way. You may have like a well that uses a pump, right? So if you don't have some sort of alternative source for that pump, then you're having to use a lot of your bottled water for hygiene and stuff like that. And I do want to talk really quickly about hygiene in the sense of going to the bathroom. So if your plumbing were to ever go out, now, without electricity, your plumbing is probably still going to work, right? Unless you have a well with a pump, and then, it's not going to work. But regardless, I do want to talk about getting some sort of bucket toilet or a composting toilet because it just never hurts. We were without water for like a week, and we still had electricity, but we had no water. We were without water for like a week, but we were putting 2 gallons of water in the toilet every time we wanted to flush. That's an insane amount of water. I don't like that. That's taking 2 gallons away from drinking or eating or cleaning or whatever else, right? And then when it comes to showers, if you want like a warm shower, like if you have a water heater, well, without electricity, your water heater is not getting heated, right? Your water's not getting heated. So in order to take some sort of shower or bath, depending on how long that hygiene is, you could, one, get this no rinse body wash. I have a ton of this. As far as I know, it doesn't go bad. I've never seen an expiration. It's just body wash. I can't imagine it would ever go like bad. They put preservatives in here so that it doesn't go bad like that. Anyway, it's absolutely no rinse. You just put it on and there you go. You don't have to rinse it with water. I love this stuff. I've used it. I love it. A lot of people use it in like hospitals and nursing homes and assisted living and stuff like that, to where people, if they can't get them in a tub, something like that, this is used. So this stuff really works. Also, you could just do like a little sponge bath, just get something like a towel and just kind of wipe, You could also just use baby wipes if that's what you so choose. You could also boil water or get water warm and, put it into like a little solar shower. We did that for a really long time. When we didn't have hot running water, we would boil water, fill it half with the boiling water and then fill the other half with just regular water, and it'd make it nice and warm. And that's how we would take showers. People in the old days used to do that. If they wanted a bath, they'd have to boil their water and fill up that tub, right? Okay, so, another way to take a shower is to actually get one of, solar showers and use it like a solar shower. Actually put it in the sun, let it heat up. I've done a review of this recently. I love the solar bags. I think they're great to have around for those two dual purposes. So do that. And get one of those just for your emergencies. Now you have, hygiene options, and, your water options are taken care of and that kind of thing. So cook without electricity. So, what are you going to do? If you have a propane oven, fantastic. But you could also have like a Coleman stove. You could have a rocket stove, or, make a hobo stove. There's lots of ways to cook. And you could have a Blackstone with the propane, or some sort of grill with a propane, these kinds of things. So have lots of different options in which you can boil water and cook things without electricity. On that same note of cooking without electricity, you kind of want to have some things that are ready to eat. Like you can eat canned food straight out, or just heat it up just a little bit or something like that. You're basically warming it up. You're not like cooking it. You're warming up canned foods. You could also have just, again, just ready to eat meals like sandwiches, peanut butter and jelly sandwich, done, right? Tuna from the can, you can make that real quick, or the tuna pouches, something like that. You can make really, really easy, quick meals without doing a ton of cooking. Staying informed during power outages is essential. You want radios of some kind. This is just a regular radio with like an AM, FM, a NOAA weather radio. You know, you can access the NOAA weather radio. You can access the NOAA weather radio on this bad boy too. And you can also access your local community. So you could be like, hey, it's a power outage over there. Hey, you got your power back. And you can hear information. You don't have to talk. You can just hear stuff coming in, you know, from whoever is talking around town, right? So getting information, whether you want to talk out or not, is essential. So you want to always be informed of whatever happens to be going on around you, right? I can't help but think about the scenario in Jericho where nobody knew what was going on because, you know, the radios weren't working, nothing was working. So one thing that I do recommend is having one of these, you know, one at least radio, one NOAA weather radio in a Faraday bag. I'm going to talk about Faraday bags in another video, but right now, just start looking into Faraday bags and put one NOAA weather radio and at least one radio in some Faraday bags. I suggest 2 radios. You know, these are pretty cheap and easy to just throw in a Faraday bag and just have accessible, but you could look into more expensive ones that will be a little clearer, better quality than these, the bow things, how do you say it, whatever. If you want me and my husband to talk about ham radio some more, comment down below and let me know. And if you are planning on preparing more for power outages, hit that like button or let me know down below what you are doing to be prepared for power outages. All right, so a couple more things here. Plan for medical needs. You know, if you have a CPAP, then you're going to want some sort of alternative energy source to power that, right? If, you know, you have prescription medications, you're going to want at least a month or 2 or 3 supplies on hand. You can usually ask your doctor, contact your insurance, say, hey, you know, I'm going to be traveling. Can I have some extra, you know, prescription? Jace Medical actually has their own prescription options now. And then this is the case. This is the antibiotic case. It's nice to have these on hand because when it comes to power outages, we don't really know what's going on. There's services that are running all around rampant on town. There, you know, your cell service may not be working, whatever. And if you can't get help or if you can't get to help, you're going to have to take care of that for, you know, until you can get help, right? Whatever the case may be, whether, you know, whatever has caused the power outage, okay? So have some stuff on hand, have basic first aid supplies on hand, medicinal herbs, you know, tinctures, whatever, as well as, you know, the over-the-counter medications, the antibiotics, that kind of thing. So have all of this stuff on hand ready to go so that, you know, you're not having to be left in the lurch and be like, oh, well, I didn't have an extra oxygen tank because, you know, I wasn't prepared, or I didn't have, you know, my CPAP available because I didn't have, you know, extra power supply. Have these things ready to go. And the last thing I want to talk about is entertainment. This is like the thing that people like to talk about the least. But let me tell you, if you are properly prepared, if you go through all these steps to be prepared for a power outage, you kind of got a lot of time on your hands, okay? I'm not even gonna lie, you got a lot of time, okay? And especially if you have kids, you know, you're gonna want some sort of entertainment. And, you know, we're not like on TVs and iPads all the time, you know, like, but we have iPads, we have, you know, game consoles, we have our computers, we have a portable DVD player, you know, we have ways that we can play, you know, DVDs, and we have DVDs, you know what I'm talking about? We have board games, we have journals, we have books, we have crafts, we have all these things that we can do, and we can always, you know, use our imagination, right? Imagination. So we can do these things and still be entertained during a power outage. It's not like, honestly, our lives really wouldn't change that drastically. You know, we have ways of entertaining ourselves without, you know, needing power. It's not like that huge of a deal to us. We could always still do pretty much everything we do on a regular basis, you know, because we have alternative power, or we have ways of, you know, watching it with battery, you know, battery powered DVD player, or whatever the case may be, or board games, or talking to each other. I know. Or just, you know, playing with our preps, or I don't know, playing Barbies with my kids. whatever, right? We got options, okay? Don't forget to download that free power outage guide down below and subscribe to my newsletter for other free goodies. And be sure to like and comment with anything that you're doing to be prepared for power outages. Let me know if you've ever been through a power outage and what tips you have for others down below. Thank you all so much for watching Conquer Tomorrow by Preparing Today. I'll talk to you later. Bye.